Permaculture is an ethical design science. It has clear ethics, it has a prime directive, and it requires responsibility for yourself, your children, and the systems that support life. So when someone says autistic or dyslexic traits are well suited to permaculture, that isn't a compliment, it's a design observation. Permaculture is often talked about as gardening or farming, but that framing misses what it really is. What follows isn't about techniques, it's about how certain ways of thinking align or clash with the systems we build. Permaculture is more than gardening techniques. It's a design science built on three core ethics: earth care, people care, and return of surplus. Its prime directive is responsibility for yourself, your children, and the systems that sustain life. Not by control, not by dominance, but by design. Observing, noticing patterns, and translating them into design action is at the heart of permaculture. This is the core loop. You observe, you recognize patterns, and then you respond through design. This approach rewards highly focused thinking and attention to detail. It also values ethical, consistent approaches, learning from feedback and carefully testing the ideas rather than scaling blindly. Geoff Lawton once described a way of approaching permaculture in an offhand way. It's brief, but it's revealing.
But you've got to have that almost dyslexic approach.
Yeah.
Autistic approach.
That wasn't a joke about labels. It was a shorthand for a cognitive approach. A way of working that depends on pattern recognition, persistence, and learning directly from feedback. Permaculture doesn't work if you think in isolated parts. It only works if you see relationships. Many autistic people naturally think this way, not emotionally, but structurally. Permaculture ethics aren't feelings, they're limits, and systems with clear limits often make more sense to autistic minds. Modern industrial culture often rewards speed and conformity, with abstract consequences, numbers, targets, metrics, disconnected from lived reality. It produces chaotic schedules, sensory overload, short-term focus, and outsourced responsibility. For many people, this creates stress. For some cognitive styles, chronic friction. Permaculture, in contrast, rewards pattern recognition and relies on immediate feedback loops. It follows predictable seasonal rhythms, allows sensory information to guide design, supports long-term focus, and keeps responsibility local and direct. If something fails, you see it. If something works, you understand why. Permaculture restores cognitive coherence. Cause and effect are visible, and learning loops are clear. Ethical coherence is built in. The design rules embed earth care and people care. Sensory coherence comes from natural rhythms and reduced overload. making environments easier to process. Nutrition is part of coherence. Whole, mineral-dense foods support the nervous system. Bodily coherence comes from varied physical tasks, integrating mind and body. Social coherence is achieved through purpose-first cooperation and clear roles without the need for masking. So, when people notice that autistic traits often align well with permaculture, this isn't coincidence. Autistic people are not good at permaculture by accident. What's happening isn't about talent or labels, it's about fit. Permaculture selects for cognitive styles that modern industrial culture suppresses. Pattern recognition, ethical consistency, honest feedback, long-term thinking, relationship-based design. Industrial systems are often hostile to these traits. Land-based ethical systems depend on them. That is a design failure of society, not a failure of neurodivergent people. In short, permaculture restores coherence for mind, body, ethics, and environment. Industrial systems often suppress these skills. They reward speed, abstraction, and conformity. Permaculture, on the other hand, relies on pattern recognition, attention to feedback, and ethical placement of elements. That's why it naturally aligns with these cognitive approaches. This isn't about labels, it's about alignment between thinking, doing, and living systems. When coherence is restored, many people who struggle in industrial environments begin to function, not because they changed, but because the system finally makes sense. Begin where you are. Notice what others overlook. Let the living system you're working with guide you. Observe, test, and respond. That is the heart of permaculture design. It is a way of restoring coherence, not just to land, but to human life itself. Permaculture doesn't require a personality type, but it does favour people who think ethically, systematically, and long-term. That overlap isn't accidental, it's design.